Hey, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 automations that we use to help our clients save between 1 and 3 hours of manual work for every single new client that they onboard. This is the same system that we've refined after helping a few of our clients generate over $1.4 million in revenue over the last 14 months. There's also been some lessons learned from personal experiences here that I'll dive into in a sec. But this essentially will help you whether you're onboarding 2 clients a month or 20 clients a month. It will really help you free up some time and also reduce bottlenecking and friction in your fulfillment process. Now, most coaches and agency owners between 10K to 20K a month are doing everything themselves, or your CSM might be running a very manual process. And so you might experience that on your onboarding calls, you're going through a lot of the same repetitive tasks, like creating the same templates from documents, creating the same task list, collecting very basic information, granting access to the community or to your course, little things that don't really add a lot of value. And so your onboarding call is filled up with a bunch of time spent on transactional low value activities instead of actually diving into your client's pain points and starting to strategize on the way that you're going to tackle that and help them improve. And so I'm going to show you guys with a little Miro board here. I'm going to have a little flow chart in a sec. How we're going to create this automation flow, and I'll walk you through each step by step so that you can easily implement this into your business. So there's going to be 5 main things we're going to automate. So the first one's going to be the welcome email. So you might already have this automated. It's pretty simple, but if you're not doing it yet, highly recommend it. Then we're going to grant access to the community. We're going to collect some information with an onboarding form. We're then going to send them to book their onboarding call. And lastly, we're going to create a Google Drive folder with your client's documents, perhaps their contract, and anything else that you basically create for your clients, any documents that you basically go clone, duplicate, and add into a client folder. We're also going to go ahead and automate that. And I'll show you a few more extra tips at the end to make this even better. So let's dive in. Here is our Miro board. And, oh yeah, it's not showing up yet. Let's get this going. 1 second. All right, cool. Here we go. Okay, so first step that I usually start with is client signing their agreement. Now, why do I start with a client signing their agreement and not collecting payment? Because the agreement is what's legally binding. So I don't want to create any documents. I don't want to give any access until I know that I'm legally protected, that I have a contract, and that this is actually a client who is serious, right? You might experience situations where maybe your closer or yourself, maybe someone wants to see the contract before they actually commit to buying. And so if you send them that contract, you forget that you have an automation tied to it, you might trigger a whole onboarding flow for someone without them actually being a client or having paid. So I don't like that. I only like my team to fulfill and focus their energy on clients who are actually confirmed, signed, and ready to go. So spiel over. My trigger is client signs agreement. You choose whatever works best for you. If you're running a low ticket offer where maybe it's just a course, it might just be the purchase. Like if they just purchase your course, that can be the trigger. And in that scenario, you might not need all of these onboarding steps, but you still could pull from some benefit out of this walkthrough. So we'll have 2 paths once the client signs the agreement for automations to run. One that is pretty much doesn't need the client to do anything else. Based on what they've just done, we can go ahead and create a little flow of things that can be done automatically. Then we'll have another flow, which is steps requiring the client to take action. So let me break that down so you understand what I mean. And I'll change this color, change it to blue. Okay, so this is the highly automated path on the top. This is going to be the easy stuff. Like if they sign their agreement, you already have their email, right? Because they signed their agreement. So you have their email, you have their name, maybe phone number. So what's some easy things we can do? Well, we can give them access. If you have a course like a school community, Kajabi, or Go High Level, then we can give them access. So grant access to course or community. Okay. For most of these automations, guys, you can use Zapier. Zapier is a great automation tool, which basically just helps you connect with simple steps, different software. If you weren't aware of Zapier, it's a pretty cool tool. So there's also other alternatives like Make and Zapier are really the main ones that I know, but Zapier is the easiest to learn, I think. So that's the one I recommend. So anyways, here we go. So once the client signs the agreement, we're going to grant access to the course or community. Any specific things that they need to get access to. In here, you might have, if you have coaching calls, if you have the actual training, like the material, the videos and everything, that's where they'll get access to that. So that's very nice and easy. After we give them access to the course and community, there's another easy thing we can do, which is create the client task list / fulfillment project. So this might be the list of to-dos that you need to do for a client anytime, you have your checklist, right? So that's something that you can also automate so that you don't have to go and duplicate it and, drag it into their folder or whatever, right? We can create this. If you are using, if you're using really basic, like a Google Doc, you could do that. Or if you have something a bit more advanced, like Asana or ClickUp or any other soft project management tool, then you can actually create a template in that software, a project template, and then you can have Zapier, again, another step in the Zap. You can have it basically create a project from that template with your client's name on it. So again, boom, that's already done automatically. There's one more step that we can easily do here that's automated without needing the client to do anything, and that is create client Google Drive folder. Or if you're using OneDrive, whatever storage solution you're using. But you can use Zapier to also create that specific client a folder, give them access using their email, and also in that same step, create documents from templates. So again, if you have any templates in your Google Doc that you're like, yeah, this is what I use for my clients, and then when before you would normally go ahead, duplicate it, drag it over to their folder, we can now have Zapier do everything in one go so that you don't have to do any of this either before the onboarding call or during the onboarding call. And so that is like a very kind of basic, like automated route that we can do without the client doing anything else after they sign their agreement. Then there's the path where we need the client to take some action. And so this path, we run it through, we started off with an onboarding email. Again, if you have Go High Level, then you can just use workflows. If you are using a different email service provider from your CRM, you might have like SendGrid, Mailgun, then you can use Zapier to, again, trigger that, or even just native Gmail. You can even do that. You can use Zapier to send an email. You can have your onboarding template loaded up. And so it sends them that onboarding / welcome email, let's call it. Now on this email, you're typically going to give them a few things, right? You're going to congratulate them. Congrats, and build excitement, right? We want to keep the energy going as they come into the program. Then you want to give them some next steps. Actually, I like to also set some context, set expectations. So right here is a great time to, basically be like, hey, welcome to the program. This is what you get. Almost like you're reminding them of what they just enrolled into, right? So, is it group coaching calls? You might have the calendar or the list of the calls that happen that they get access to. You might want to remind them where the community is. If it's on school or whatever, you might want to link it there. Whatever expectations you want to set, like, hey, how often can they, how quickly can they expect a response from you or your team if they have a question, right? Little things like that, great opportunity to set that expectation. And then once we do that, actually, set expectations is the kind of like the last step, because top of the email, I like to basically say, hey, next step, literally in cap, like I'm just like, hey, next step that you need to do, fill out onboarding form. So now we're directing, it's almost like it turns into an onboarding funnel, right? Where we now want our client to fill out the form. So next step, fill out the form. And so then this onboarding email will essentially link them to onboarding form. And then what I like to do is, as soon as they fill out their onboarding form, it redirects them to book their onboarding call. So then that's the next step. Book onboarding call. If you're not running onboarding calls, then obviously this step might not make sense. If you're not doing tailored support or services like consulting, then you might not need an onboarding form. If the client is, again, just needing access to community, then That's pretty much it. But if you are going to be meeting with the client, then these two are a game changer, because your onboarding form will help you gather a lot of information. Let me just move this way. Your onboarding form will help you gather information that you need so that you show up to the onboarding call with a lot more information, right? You have more context. You perhaps even have an idea of or you or your CSM will have an idea of how to approach the call, how to ideate, and actually dive right into the good stuff instead of just gathering intelligence and really just some low value transactional stuff that you could have done via a form and save some time. And then the second bit for onboarding call, I don't know about you guys, but it's like the worst thing ever when you just have to manually book a call with someone, and then they're either very easy and it's like, hey, that time works great and you're done, or it's just like a back and forth of and oh, this doesn't work. Just going back and brutal, right? So just having an onboarding calendar where they just go pick a time that works, book in, and done. Again, a game changer, because we want to increase the speed at which everything here moves at to keep your clients happy and feeling like they're making progress already. So, and if I just move this over, I don't know why this went so far back. My arrows are all messed up here. This is a pretty good flow already, right? This is already a pretty much granting access, creating the task, the project list, folder templates, onboarding email, onboarding form, and booking onboarding call. That's really solid. You've already saved yourself quite a lot of time of back and forth, of manual work, having to do all of this yourself. Now, here's an extra tip that you can do if you want to level up that onboarding call experience. If on your onboarding form, let me bring this down a little bit. Whoops. Zoom, make this a little bigger. Okay, so we know that on the onboarding email, we're going to basically do these things. On your onboarding form, ideally you're collecting information that you need to basically inform your fulfillment. So this might be business info / metrics if you are into the business niche. If you're a health coach, for example, then it might be your biometric data, how much do you weigh, what's your age, client info, right? Direct client info. It might be some strategic level questions hey, who is your audience? Who do you serve? What do you do? That sort of thing. Because again, remember, if you have a closer, that closer might not be always communicating this to your success manager. And so this is another way to really not have any gaps in awareness or knowledge, so that your client knows the information carries over, right? They don't feel like they have to re-explain themselves to every single person they encounter in your business. Everyone can have a rough idea of what this person is all about based off of the information they provide. And so a really cool trick you can do here actually is run the responses from the onboarding form through ChatGPT. Whoops. So we'll add a little middle step here. Or whatever AI tool, if you're using Claude, DeepSeek, anything else that you're using. And we can run those responses through ChatGPT. And then that can actually help us create tailored templates that you can then start from on that onboarding call. And so the idea behind all of this is that when you hop on that onboarding call, you guys are going to have the groundwork laid out, the access is already set up, and then you can just dive right into the good stuff, right into the ideation strategy, and that'll make your onboarding call really impactful and have that positive impression on your client, versus it being an hour wasted getting access, creating menial little things that really don't add much value, and then you have to book an additional call to actually start the strategy side of things. And so that is pretty much it, guys. This is the overall flow of what that looks like. And so let me just get rid of this flow. And so once this system is set up, your onboarding time will shorten from a few hours potentially to a few minutes plus that onboarding call. And it'll just really help you with scaling by reducing all those bottlenecks and constraints that you don't really need to be having in your business. So if you want help mapping this system out into your business, into your specific tech stack, systems, and offers that you're running, we actually offer free implementation calls where we'll hop on and walk through your business, identify the gaps, and basically install the system step by step for you. So the link for that will be in the description. So go ahead and book your call if that's something that would be interesting to you. And other than that, that's everything for this video, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.